Everybody wants to be a multi-hyphenate until you realize you're doing 5 people's jobs in one body. For as long as I can remember, I've been an artist since I was about the age of 6. It's just been something that naturally I've drawn close to, whether it was drawing and then it turned into woodworking and sewing. I've always been creative, and that has actually followed me in my adulthood. At this point in my life and creative journey, I've been an artist, designer, content creator, entrepreneur, educator, and in some capacity, I'm still doing all of these roles today. I'm really an artist who just cannot be bound by medium. I went to art school for university. I went to 2 different schools. I did 2 years at one and then I transferred. My first school, I was on a painting track, so I was solely going to be a painter. So then I transferred, and then my new university was actually an interdisciplinary program, which means we didn't just study for one discipline, we studied for them all pretty much, or the ones that we really wanted to do. So a lot of my coursework in school consisted of filmmaking classes, film photography classes, sculpture, painting, drawing, so many different mediums, and I was able to really thrust myself into them all and explore my artistry through so many different mediums. I think this can be liberating and freeing, but at the same time, it can be a bit jarring. Especially when you get down to that postgraduate era and you really want to decide what it is exactly that you want to do. A lot of people don't actually know what it is I do, or they have questions about what I do to sustain myself, what is my job? When I first graduated and prior to graduation, I was in arts education. I was working in youth programming within the arts. So I was a program coordinator, which means I helped teachers with their curriculum. I was overseeing the Department of Youth Programs for a place called Hyde Park Art Center, which is a lovely and esteemed establishment in Hyde Park, Chicago. Through this job, I not only worked on site, but I also sometimes would be offloaded into different schools within the Chicago public school system to teach even smaller kids art. And this was lovely, but I knew early on that I didn't want to be in education forever. It's not something that I actually saw myself doing long term. Fast forward, I graduated from university and I didn't start applying to jobs. Typically when people graduate from uni, they start applying to jobs, or they've had an internship and then, that internship turned into a full-time role with that employer. That wasn't the case for me. Actually, a lot of art school students are kind of in that position after school. It's notoriously known to be one of those tough degrees where what employment can you really find, especially in today's world when the funding for arts is being cut and just not valued by so many different institutions. So I did what I've always done best, and that is being a creative entrepreneur. What no one tells you about being a creative entrepreneur is that sometimes it can get extremely lonely. Being a fine artist in painting is a pretty insular process. I'm working in silos a lot of the time, unless I'm using a muse or, collaborating with someone in some capacity, which I don't do too often. Painting and just being in the studio can be extremely lonely. At least when I was working in arts ed, I was able to go into a space every day and interact with people. Even my graphic design work, outside of my onboarding calls and my general check-ins with my clients, I'm not really engaging with anyone often, and it can get lonely working from home 24/7 and just being in my own head, in my own space. That's something that I didn't really foresee. Being in a one-person economy is crazy, and I feel like since COVID even, people who do work with teams are also feeling the same thing, because there are a lot of people are working remotely or working from home, and that lack of community can be a little bit taxing sometimes. One of the biggest things I've been battling is feeling like I don't have a sense of direction, or that I don't have clarity, because people always joke and they're like, oh my gosh, you do that too? Or they're like, wow, you make clothes too? I'm not surprised, of course you do. Or they say little things about how I do so many different crafts, and most of them mean it as compliment, but a lot of the time it really kind of takes a toll on me. I don't know, it just bothers me because sometimes I feel like I'm not mastering one thing, or I'm not the person that's shining the brightest in this one arena. But I've had to realize that that's okay. That being multifaceted is actually natural. Most humans are. It's been a blessing to do all of the different things I do. However, the mental load is insane. So at the moment, I am a fine artist. Particularly at the moment, I'm focusing on painting. So I make paintings, I exhibit them with galleries, and the goal is to sell them. And I have been selling work. I haven't been selling work as much as I would like to, but I have been selling some decently priced works, and my collector base is growing. Art is a very tough market, especially as an emerging artist in today's economy. The art market waxes and wanes. Some years are up years for emerging artists, some years are low years. Years that are recession-y and all of those different things are typically lower for emerging artists, just because collectors are wanting to collect from more established artists that they can ensure that they're gonna get a return on. A lot of collectors wanna make sure that they can sell the work for a higher price at some point. And it's not to say that you can't do that with emerging artists, but it's a little bit harder to tell. So sometimes we don't sell as much work as we would like. Therefore, I've always made sure that that is not the only income that I have. In addition to that, I do have my content creation. I've been content creating for a long time. My OGs on YouTube, you guys know, I've been on YouTube since like 10 years ago, and during those times I had my blog and then Insta too. I'm so blessed and grateful that I've been able to partner with so many amazing brands. I've worked with Nike, I've worked with Free People, I've worked with Tory Burch, I've worked with Ralph Lauren, I've worked with Hilton Hotels, I've worked with ISG Hotels, I've even worked with the Los Cabos Board of Tourism. So many different opportunities have come just from me sharing my content online. However, in my later years, especially as I began to pursue my art more, I kind of hit the off switch on my content creation. My brain was just trying to lock in on being an artist. And so I also sell prints, which has been amazing for me. I've been selling prints, honestly, since university. That also provides supplement to my income. My other many passions and talents and current works is designing. So some of you guys may know I used to have a fashion brand, but that's not the designing I'm talking about now. I'm talking about graphic and brand identity design. I've loved graphics since the first year of uni. That was when I actually really started learning Adobe Suite, Illustrator, and Photoshop, because sometimes I feel like when it comes to painting, that's like my art that I do for me, right? Versus with the design, especially graphic and brand design, I can use my artistry, but to serve someone else and their vision in the world. It's a different process. It's a total different part of my brain. And so doing all of these things at once, the mental burnout can be real. I'm having to become just so much more of an organized person to really keep a juggle on all of these different things I'm doing. And I've also really realized lately that I have to honor season. Every single thing cannot be done at every single season. A seed is sown in early spring. It does not bear fruit in early spring. It doesn't even become a mature plant in early spring. Early summer is when it's a mature plant. Midsummer, late summer is when the fruit is ready. Some seasons I may be doing more design work, or some seasons I may be working on a solo show. Some seasons I may be doing something totally different and doing a collab with a fashion brand, which is something I'm working on right now. But the point is, I've really had to tell myself, hey, you have big dreams, you love to do a lot of things, and you can do them all, but you don't have to do them all at one time. And so that's been one of the biggest realizations that has helped ease my load a little bit, at least. How am I managing this? One big thing that I've learned lately is the word N-O, no. Because I used to say yes to everything. Oh, Mia, we be in town. There's a photo shoot happening. We would love you to model. Yes, I can come. It's actually tomorrow, and you're gonna have to do this and you're gonna have to do that. Yeah, I can come. Or, Mia, so I have an exhibition coming up. It's in 2 weeks. You will have to hurry up and get the work to me. Oh, yes, of course. No, I was saying yes to things that would look good. It would look good for my portfolio. It would look good online. But did it really feel good? And was it causing me to burn out and have to shift my focus from what I already said I was going to be focusing on? Another thing is being okay with putting some identities to rest. I think sometimes we can get so caught up in being attached to what we once were that sometimes it feels like we're a failure if we say we're not that anymore, or if we're seen letting go of this thing or this identity, that somehow we're fraudsters. Is just simply not true. At some point my content creation online took the path of being what I like to call a cookie cutter influencer. I wasn't really sure of what my messaging was. I wasn't really having an overall identity or purpose, but I was just selling products, just like the vast sea of influencers do today. A brand would hit me up to do this. Okay, yeah, I'm doing this skincare. Yep, I'm doing this wellness thing. Yep, I'm doing this supplement. Oh, I would just be taking on all of these different influencer jobs, and I really lost sight of what my real identity was. I was really just a billboard marketing for this company and that company, until I realized, you know what, this isn't for me. It may seem like I fell off to some people in the sense of, oh, she's not doing that many partnerships these days, or her content isn't getting this many likes, or it's not doing that. But I had to stop caring about what looks good in the matrix and caring about what really feels good for my soul and what is really tied to my purpose. So I would definitely say letting go of some identities is fine. We all shift, we all change, and embracing that is really the key to progress. And the last thing that I'm currently still doing is just refining my focus, being a little bit more serious with my 5-year plan, not being so lackadaisical and just, oh, I'm going with the flow. Really saying, what does Mia want? What does she want for the next 2 years? What does she want for the next 4, the next 6, the next 8, the next 10, and so forth? And tuning into God, the Most High, and asking, what is your plan for me? What do you want to see me do? Because at the end of the day, that is the path that's going to be the most rewarding and the most soul fulfilling. So maybe being a multi-hyphenate doesn't mean doing it all, but maybe it means knowing when to pause without guilt. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm pausing some aspects of myself and I'm refining others, and really just trying to make sense of it all. Are any of you guys multi-hyphenates as well? What has helped you manage the chaos? Let me know in the comments. Let's chat.